Welcome to the Wild Sound Podcast, the interview edition. This is a podcast where we chat with past and recent festival winners from our Screenplay and Film Festival. Matthew Goudie is the short screenplay winner for his screenplay Clown of the Dead. A little bit of horror, a little bit of comedy equals a great little tone mixture. And Matthew is a terrific up-and-coming filmmaker from Canada. And let's get to the interview now, and then after the interview you can listen to his winning screenplay audio recording reading. Hope you guys enjoy it. So with Matthew Goudie, screenplay winner, Clown of the Dead, amazing short screenplay. I'm not just saying that. So I'll give you a question first before we get going on this interview. On October 1st, 1968, what movie premiered for the first time?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Is this going to be related to?
Relates to your script.
Is it The Dead?
Night of the Living Dead.
Night of the Living Dead. There we go. Yeah.
George Romero's in Pittsburgh, his hometown, 1968. It was the premiere of that. So it's 52-year anniversary.
Yeah, it's a little before my time, but
a lot before your time. I'm sure you look like a guy born in his 90s. Am I correct there?
Oh yeah, something like that.
But you're still keeping it alive. So Clown of the Dead, same kind of tone like in the tribute to George Romero. Nice little short film, got a little comedy to it. What inspired you to make this film? Write the screenplay?
Well, it was actually at the time I was taking a scriptwriting certification course, and I've always loved the genre, and I wanted to kind of tackle it in kind of like a new, fresh way. Try my hand at it. And of course, this is going to date me, but, one of the first zombie movies I think I saw was the Dawn of the Dead remake in 2004. And ever since, with, 28 Days Later, kind of those types of movies, they've always seemed fun to make and write. And I just guess I wanted to try my hand at it. So.
And you succeeded with Clowns.
Yeah. They say you need a fresh take to kind of break into things. So I thought, why not? Right.
Do you find that a lot of people are including my wife, are afraid of clowns?
Yeah, the thing is, I don't think I have a weird relationship with clowns, but I've never thought that they were too scary. I always think of clowns as kind of like these dopey idiots. And so I thought it would be fun to kind of write it around the idea that they're just people in clown makeup more so than, circus-y, happy clowns.
Yeah. Not like Ronald McDonald selling hamburgers, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So where did you? I'm doing the. I'm recording this podcast to do the Zoom in. Are you in your bedroom right now?
Yeah, that's right.
Is this where you wrote your screenplay?
In and around, yeah, kind of between here and school, but for the most part, yeah.
So you're still in school right now?
No, I graduated 2019, so. Right now, I'm working in the local film industry. Actually, I'm a casting associate right now.
Well, that's a tough job.
Yeah, well, especially right now with COVID and all that, but I don't think any of us saw it coming. So,
generally speaking, those casting directors can be a little high maintenance. Are you finding that?
Yeah.
Without getting throwing them under the bus.
I only know the one, and she's great. But when it comes to producers and directors, sometimes those stereotypes are scarily accurate for sure.
So what are you learning from the job? What's the biggest thing you're learning?
I'm learning how to pay off my student loans. But, apart from that, just getting into the local industry and wetting my feet. If I ever wanted to get this filmed myself, just figuring that out, getting to know people. I think making those connections, as a writer is always super important.
You in the best case scenario, do you want to direct this film or do you want to produce it and get someone else to direct it?
I think I actually have a friend who's a director. I promised him a long time ago he could do it, but I think producing, yeah, for sure. I definitely love to have a hand in that. So
tone wise, where do you see this script, because you people can read listen to the reading afterwards, and it was tough to really kind of nail down because you could have gone over the top with the characters. Mm-hmm. I know it's probably not a perfect interpretation of what because we tried to make it the best, but tone wise, did we hit it close?
Yeah, I think absolutely. Especially with the central character Klumpo, I think that's exactly what I was going for. Kind of like that gravelly, smoky voice. I think. Yeah, and obviously it's not super dialogue heavy either, right? So I think for the most part, that was pretty much exactly what I was going for.
Yeah, Steve Rizzo did Klumpo. He does a lot of voiceovers for video games.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
So he's got that. He loves that this kind of like stuff. So okay, so you're casting, directing. You're just graduated. You're living in Ottawa. So how's the Ottawa film scene for people listening in the United States or other places in the world? What's Ottawa like? What's going on in Ottawa?
Ottawa, surprisingly enough, it's a fairly regional market, but we end up doing like a lot of holiday movies, like just a weird amount. Probably did like a dozen last year, but kind of like those Lifetime, Hallmark, kind of like made for TV movies. A lot of them go through the area
because there's like 100% chance it's going to snow during.
But I mean, even in July they'll film it here, and it's Christmas in California or whatever. I guess we just have a lot of different topography and going from like the small surrounding townships to like the main inner city where we can like kind of be New York but not really. So
yeah, gotcha. And in Ottawa is people don't know, is the capital of Canada. So a lot of people work in government in Ottawa.
Yeah, it's definitely a government city. That's one thing I was afraid of, graduating. Before that, I was in an advertising program, and they warned us, like, if you stay in this city, you're going to end up working for the government and you're never going to leave. So that was always a scary thought. But so now I'm, making my way this way. Okay,
so you said you were in advertising, and advertising is kind of like, there's some good money in advertising. It's like, it's creative, but it's very corporate. What promoted you to change like your majors?
I actually got into sort of, because the program itself was quite, jack of all tradesy. It's covering a lot of, there's so much happening in marketing, with digital spaces on top of just, those classical trades. But I really enjoyed that copywriting aspect. And I loved the idea of like working for a brand and like personifying, like you see some of these Twitter accounts, like Wendy's, my God, the holy grail of Twitter accounts. They're so funny and clever on top of it. And that's really what I wanted to do. And then after that, I thought, the film industry is another great creative outlet. Let's see what we can do there. So.
Gotcha. And so, so you're on your way, I guess, right?
Yeah, I hope so. We'll see.
Are you going to stay in Ottawa? Is that the goal?
Yeah, I think right now, I mean, especially the current climate, proving that you can work remotely really from anywhere, right? So the thought that you had to go to the big cities, it's a little more feasible to stay where your roots are. So.
And this is where your roots are?
Yeah, I was, born here, not always raised here, but, for the most part. So.
And so you're saying in the interview that Empire Strikes Back was your film growing up.
Yes, I was a huge Star Wars fan. Still am, I think. I mean, those sequels, maybe not quite for me, but yeah, for sure. The original trilogy is near and dear to my heart. Because
you're in the generation of the prequels. But
yeah, that's right.
I'm in the generation of the 80s movies.
Yeah, if I had to pick a second favorite, it would probably be Revenge of the Sith. So I'm definitely, of both worlds, so to speak. No,
it's just interesting because that's like that like I asked that question, what movie have you seen the most times in your life to hundreds of people, and you know that Empire Strikes Back is the most popular answer.
Oh, really? Yeah. No kidding.
Well, it's usually it's Generation X who kind of says that, but I'm assuming you're a millennial or even before that. But yeah. So but the Empire is your bag.
Yeah, for sure.
And so Dungeons and Dragons, like, tell somebody like myself who knows nothing about Dungeons and Dragons, like what is the fascination of that kind of, because obviously it's something that it's part of pop culture. It's what we know, but it's not something like me. I know nothing about it.
Right. I mean, like Dungeons and Dragons, I think at its core is it's storytelling and improv with your friends, and there's math involved. But that's the fun of it, just being able to write these stories and do these, dumb things with your friends. I think, having something to do with my friends is a big part of, what makes it so fun too.
Do you like do you have a group that you guys play, like a group of friends who play all the time?
Yeah, I met them in high school, and going on about 6 or 7 years now, we've all been, playing various campaigns.
So you still do it today, even?
Yeah. Well, a little less recently because, it's getting harder to get together. But yeah.
So do you guys wear masks now, or do you guys do it like virtually?
Yeah, I mean, there's some pretty good virtual options, like roll20.net, that sort of thing. So, but I also, play occasionally with my roommates. So we're already kind of in the same spot. So that works out.
I'm going to ask you a stereotypical question. If one of you guys has a girlfriend, which I'm assuming most of you do, like, are you allowed to bring in the girlfriends to play, or is that like that's?
Oh yeah, no. Funnily enough, a lot of our girlfriends are actually. I mean, one of my friends, Chris, just got married, and we played with his now wife multiple times too.
So you got her into it, or she was already into it?
Well, I wouldn't say she's into it, but she's willing to dabble.
Gotcha. No, I understand, because it's for the love, right? So
of course.
All right. Well, I should come up to Ottawa and I should play. Well, you could teach me how to play, because I've heard about this so many people, but I've never done it. It's like playing the piano. I think I missed out on something growing up.
Yeah. I mean, check out your, local game store. I'm sure they've got lots of options. It's a really great game to play.
All right, man. Clown of the Dead is great script, great short script. It was a no-brainer for its acceptance. Like I said, I hope you enjoyed the reading, our virtual reading, and I want to curious what you're going to do next.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking. I mean, I've juggled with the idea of either spreading it into like a larger feature, but right now I'm working on like an anthology series. I think just playing around with that clown idea and putting it into like different genres. Right now I'm working on like a Western style one that I think will be a lot of fun. So
that would be a lot of fun. All right, cool. All right, hope we get to read it someday. So then, congratulations, and people can listen to the screenplay right now.
Clown of the Dead. Fade in. Interior funeral parlor day. A small parlor filled with a crowd of various grieving clowns. Mimes, circus clowns, jesters, juggalos, a drag queen, etc. Bozo Jr., a younger clown and the son of Bozo, sits in the front pew. A band plays a solemn clown song. Bozo's coffin lays at the head of the room, under a crucifix bearing Clown Jesus. Next to the coffin rests a portrait of a smiling clown decorated with flowers. At a nearby podium, Father Chuckles, a clown dressed in the vestments of a priest, begins to give his sermon in a completely normal voice.
We are gathered here today to celebrate the life of Bozo, a great clown and a dear friend. To many, Bozo was...
Father Chuckles trails off as we zone in on the back of the room. There sits a mysterious stranger, Klumpo, a grizzled clown dressed in dark trench coat and large-brimmed hat. He sits away from the other clowns. Klumpo lights a cigarette and takes a slow drag as he observes the sermon.
Bozo would not want us to mourn him on this day, for he was a clown who spent his life filling others with joy. And so we should not weep, but smile as we remember the joy Bozo brought upon all of us.
A hollow thud from Bozo's coffin. Faint scratching. Another thud. Father Chuckles pauses and turns. The crowd murmurs and cranes their necks from the edges of their seats. Father Chuckles leaves his podium and warily makes his way to the coffin. Thump, thump, thump. Father Chuckles reaches a shaky hand forward. The coffin's lid bursts open. Something shifts inside. Bozo Jr. stands up.
Dad? My God!
Bozo arises from the coffin, seemingly unaware of his surroundings, confused and slack-jawed. The skin under his makeup is purple and gray, his eyes milky white. He's seen better days.
Bozo? Lord in clown heaven! It's a miracle!
Father Chuckles offers his outstretched hand to Bozo, who lurches forward. Both clowns tumble to the floor, drawing gasps from the crowd. Klumpo stares on, far too stoic for the chaotic scene unfolding before him. There's no concern on his face. Father Chuckles and Bozo roll on the floor in an increasingly vigorous struggle.
It's me, Bozo! It's Chuckles! Calm down, please!
Bozo lunges for the kill, sinking his jaws deep into Father Chuckles' neck. Father Chuckles howls in pain as blood gushes from the wound and down his neck. The crowd stares on in silent horror. Bozo's gnarled teeth continue to rip into Father Chuckles' flesh. Klumpo slowly rises from his seat. the crowd fixated on the horror unfolding in front of them. Bozo moves his attention to Father Chuckles' abdomen, which he tears into with ease. Bozo pulls a gooey string of intestine from the belly of Father Chuckles. He pulls more and more until suddenly he reaches a colorful handkerchief, then another and another. The handkerchiefs don't stop coming. Cha-chink. Boom. Honk. Bozo's brains go splattering behind him in a blast of confetti. The coffin, portrait and crucifix now dripping with the contents of Bozo's head. Klumpo stands unflinching before the corpses of Bozo and Father Chuckles, a smoking, candy-cane-striped, sawed-off, double-barreled shotgun in his hands. The room remains silent, save for the blood dripping from the walls.
What did you do?
The crowd snaps out of it, and the room descends into absolute chaos. Clowns scream left and right as they crawl over pews and each other to escape. The first clown to reach the back door barrels into it, only to find the inconceivable. More clown zombies push their way in, descending on the defenseless clowns trying to escape. The band breaks into a chaotic circus song. Several clowns attempt to mount defense. They wield balloon weapons, but are soon overtaken by the horde of fresh zombies bursting into the parlor. One clown throws a pie, but is jumped from behind. Blood shoots out of a flower pinned to his vest. The zombies reach the band. One bites into the tuba player's neck, causing a shower of blood to spurt out of his instrument, and ending the song with a drawn-out womp womp. Exterior, funeral parlor, parking lot, day. A rodeo clown manages to crawl out of the doors unscathed and into the parking lot. Tasting freedom, he sprints towards his clown car. The rodeo clown pulls a comically large key ring out of his pocket and frantically flips through keys. Finally, he finds it, a satisfying chink as he unlocks the door. He looks back at the parlor one last time, but then, from within the clown car bursts an impossible number of zombies. They dogpile the lone clown, leaving only an outstretched hand twitching against the pavement. Interior, funeral parlor, day. Bozo Jr. fumbles backwards into the podium. Frantic screams echo as the last of the crowd succumbs to the zombie horde, the zombies ripping them limb by limb in a macabre feast of clown meat. Unknown to Bozo Jr., Father Chuckles' corpse begins to twist on the ground behind him. Father Chuckles stiffly rises to his feet, slack-jawed. The same hand once extended to help Bozo now reaches fervently towards Bozo Jr.'s unsuspecting flesh. Boom! Another blast of confetti. Bozo Jr. turns in horror as Klumpo grabs his collar.
Come on, kid. We have to get moving.
Klumpo drags Bozo Jr., stumbling into a supply closet, and slams the door. Interior, parlor, closet, day. The closet is filled with discarded boxes, helium balloons, and other rubbish lining the shelves and walls. Light trickles in through a boarded-up window. Klumpo mutters to himself as he paces the room, opening various boxes. Bozo Jr. leans against the wall and stares at his shaking hands.
What were those things?
I don't know, kid.
They're all dead out there. They were eating each other.
Looks like it, kid.
Father Chuckles is gone. And my dad. Oh, God, what are we gonna do?
Klumpo stops moving and takes off his hat. He runs his hand through his messy hair, the once vibrant colors faded with age.
Look, I don't know, kid. Let me just think for a minute, okay?
Bozo Jr. clasps his hands, hoping to stop the trembling. Klumpo lights another cigarette. He takes a drag and pauses, scanning the room. The faint sounds of zombies can be heard outside the door. Something catches Klumpo's eye. He kicks a box over, revealing oxygen tanks. Klumpo grabs a whipped cream canister from a nearby shelf and shakes it, gauging the amount of cream in the canister with his ear.
What are you doing?
I'm making a bomb, kid.
Klumpo pulls various wires out from his pocket and starts connecting the canisters to the helium balloons.
A bomb? How do you know how to do that stuff?
Me and your father were buddies back in the day. You could say we worked in the funeral business together.
Funeral business? What? My dad was a basketball coach.
Look, we don't have time, kid. I need you to take Rusty.
Klumpo hands his double-barreled shotgun to Bozo Jr.
I don't know how to shoot this.
Bozo Jr. tries to hand back the shotgun, but Klumpo pushes it into his chest.
I need you to go through that window and make sure it's clear while I set the charges.
You're crazy. What if there's more of them out there?
That's what Rusty is for. Now go on, kid. No time to argue.
Bozo Jr. hesitantly climbs a box and pushes the window open. He straddles the windowsill before turning back towards Klumpo.
You'll be right behind me?
Of course, kid. I'll meet you up the hill. Now get going. All that noise is probably drawing more of them.
Exterior funeral parlor, rear side, day. Bozo Jr. hops down from the window and looks around, pointing the shotgun shakily in every direction. With the coast clear, he sprints, low to the ground, away from the parlor. Interior parlor closet, day. Klumpo tapes together the last of the canisters. He admires his handiwork and looks up at the window.
Good luck, kid.
Klumpo turns the nozzle of the nearest oxygen tank. The gas starts leaking out with a hiss. He opens the closet door and steps out. Interior funeral parlor, day. Klumpo steps out in front of the coffin. The zombies are mostly still, content with munching away at the remains of the funeral party. Another rides a tricycle in an aimless circle.
Hey, you goons! I got some grub for you right here!
The zombies perk up at the sound of a new meal. They stiffly rise and push their way towards Klumpo.
That's it. All you can eat. Hurry it up already.
Klumpo lights one cigarette and takes a long drag, savoring the taste. The zombies inch closer, closer. Klumpo smiles and exhales a nicotine-coated breath. He flicks the cigarette into the room behind him. Exterior hill, sunset. Bozo Jr. climbs a grassy hill behind the funeral parlor, panting as he reaches the top. He looks back towards the parlor, the sky orange with the setting sun. A small flash from within the parlor. A clownish whistle. Whew. A roaring boom. The building explodes with fire and foam. Bozo Jr. looks at the smoldering wreckage, in shock for a moment. A smoking hat, Klumpo's, floats down from the sky. Bozo Jr. looks at the hat, then down at the shotgun in his hand, steeling his jaw with new conviction. He snatches the hat, then notices a unicycle leaning against a nearby tree. He grabs the unicycle and mounts up. He turns to ride away, leaving the fire and everything he's ever loved behind. Fade to black. End.
And that was the short screenplay reading Clown of the Dead by Matthew Goudie. The narrator of that screenplay was performed by Allison Kampf. Father Chuckles was played by Allan Michael Brunet. Bozo Jr. was played by Scott Beaudin. And Klumpo was performed by Steve Rizzo. This audio podcast was produced and edited by Kimberly Villarule. We will see you tomorrow. Thank you very much.